Welcome to Carl DeGregorio's desk session number 11. I am past the 10 mark. I'm on 11. I'm moving toward the next dime worth of these. And I don't know where anything stands at this point. I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I get a little bit squirrely or melancholy during the impending holiday season. I'm sure that's not just me. And I'm not being dramatic this year. It just always creeps up on you with daylight savings time and the loss of light and the loss of warmth, even if Southern California is very warm comparatively. It's when I get to go home, which is great. But, you also, I do an annual trip. And so it's a pretty clear bookend of 365 in terms of, what's been done, what have you, what's due, what bills are coming, all those end of year angsty things that start to play on you. That sort of happens to me every time around this holiday season. And so heading into doing a desk session with, knowing also what happens in our business is things shut down. And so your progress is going to be minimal because the industry is not up. What can you do? People aren't going to be shooting on the week of Thanksgiving. Or maybe they'll be wrapping things up and you would have already booked it by now. So it is a bit of a bummer. I'm going long enough that I can bring lights and tripod, and I can, maybe count on probably having an audition or two while I'm in New York. But it will force me maybe to really have to think about, now we're heading into 25, that there is going to be no 2024 on this one-man show. It will not be accomplished in this year. It wasn't finished until September in terms of second draft, third draft. So that would have been ambitious to think I could get it up within the new year. But things being what they are, you want to forecast a little bit. And from what I've gathered from reaching out to a couple places, theater-wise, we're talking June, July. So halfway through the year is what the next availables are going to be. And as you procrastinate and as you leave things to another day, which is a bad habit, obviously, you could be just on a whim be setting yourself back a month, a calendar month, or maybe more. So what can I do on my trip back east? I'll be in New Jersey and I'll be in New York, and I'll be able to do content to the degree that it means much to my platform, but it is fun, and it's where my numbers seem to go up is when I do man on the street stuff in New Jersey, in my hometown, or if I get a chance to go into the city. Funny thing, ran into somebody who was from New Jersey, and someone asked me, oh, you both are from New Jersey, and I have a theory that there should be one Dakota. No, we don't need a North and South Dakota, but we do need a North and South Jersey because of how polar that state is. Up north, if you say the city, you mean New York. Down south, if you say the city, you mean Philly. Motherfuckers in South and Central Jersey, most of them root for the Eagles and the Phillies, while everybody in Northern New Jersey roots for the Yankees, Giants, and it's crazy. One thing is we all love Springsteen, so that we have common ground with, but he would be a South Jersey guy because that's where Freehold is, where Bruce is from, and Asbury and all that stuff. So I'm even more of a New York guy than Bruce, and Bruce has also been kind of a rural Rumson and Essex Fells, and he's got ranch land, so he's kind of a nouveau cowboy, Jersey cowboy kind of vibe, whereas I've always been more of a city slicker up north. Not that I have much in common with Springsteen, but he is a North Star creatively, and hopefully, many years ago, Sam Shepard was trying to be, I think he was kind of doing a musician thing and a playwright thing and an acting thing, and he got real popular in the downtown theater scene. And I think it's Cowboy Mouth is the play. It's a one-act play, and it's kind of got a Keith Richards type of character. And I remember reading some of his biographical information, and he was trying to write a play that somehow in the theater could make you feel like as exuberant as you would feel in a Rolling Stones concert. And if I want to visualize or put a template out for how I want my one-man show to go, it would be similarly that I do want the experience to be less ruminating and more celebrating. And I've been sure to take out a lot of, and this is probably a mantra for living too, what you say out loud, right? So, and certainly what you write, if you take the time to write, rewrite, and write again, and then print it out and then see the words, that there's something crystallized there. And you do want to think about, and what I did on my rewrites was try to get rid of a lot of passive tense, which is just a good writing habit. I'm trying to think of an example of like a passive sentence would be, he sat at his desk sometimes to think, and he often sat at the desk and wondered. Could be rewritten as sitting at the desk writing, or sitting at the desk thinking, just for present tense and a short sentence. That's a terrible example. I'd have to see my own bad sentence to then hopefully fix it to a good sentence without the passive tense. But that's just a writing tip, and it's spoken word, so it's not going to be prosy if I'm doing it right. And also, but taking out moments of pity. This is a hard one because no one wants to ever be called on self-pitying or attention-seeking in a negative way, or almost, I guess the big buzzword right now is, playing the victim. And I'm certainly not immune to it. And in all my years of struggle and working and hills and valleys, I tend to maybe stay in the valley a little longer than I should, to be honest. But when you write, and this is another kind of bringing Springsteen, the songwriter, and Sam Shepard kind of together, when you write, you're writing from a reverent place, the best of you, if you will. And so, and I don't think you call that lying if you're not normally an optimistic person, but you write in the optimistic voice. I don't think that's a lie as much as a wish. And also the kernels of positivity, or the kernels of divinity, whatever the hell you want to call it, when you're in your heart of hearts still kind of overridingly positive, that voice is what you put out in your art. So, Springsteen writing about the promised land, or the price you pay, or the rising, all of these uplifting anthems, and U2, a lot of uplifting anthems. I don't think they live that every day psyched, but they are going to write from that. And so I basically tried to find places where I could take out pity, self-pitying. Self-awareness is not the problem. Self-awareness is a self-aware person hopefully can write a good one-man show, and that's where I'm at. And if I'm thinking more along storytelling and songs, and that's how I've broken it down, and that's why the notion of music being very important to the show. And I don't know how I'll pull off transitional music without a budget, but the idea that if you're if you're going to waste people's time or inspire them to come to you, you should find a way, especially if it's a one-man show. If you have a character in a play that's downtrodden and a bummer, and that's what causes the grief for the main character, then yes, of course, you're not going to always write positive things. But when you're kind of sermonizing or telling stories or trying to entertain, I think you want to leave out, self-pity when you can. And then, of course, that practice in writing, and maybe that practice in journaling, or that practice in what you say out loud, is always going to be better, that you are trying to, if you need to, if you're the kind of person who needs to rewire, or the person who needs to practice not giving a lot of power to the negative. It helps. That's why writers and journaling and writing, and that's why writers can sort of transcend in their work. But as an actor, you play what comes your way. And I guess this is where I'm at on the history of what my career's been, and where I need to really put what I can into this one-man show and future writing as the best option. Because if the traditional casting session being discovered template was gonna work, it would have. So while I still believe in my abilities, I think I have to find a way to create a marketable version of myself on my own. And it's hurt me, because that's a lot of work. And I guess, sometimes you just want to get cast, but that's seldom how it works. So oddly enough, I've been listening to a podcast that's been in the can for many years. I think it started during the pandemic, the Talking Sopranos. And I haven't gotten to the episode where the character I auditioned for many years ago is introduced. And I've carried that. Sometimes I've even forgotten to mention it, but it comes up once in a while. Obviously now it's become a thing, and I don't know how close I got. I do know that I did get called back for the character Jackie Jr. You can't imagine it now, because I'm 50 pounds and 25 years later. But at the time, I was in the ballpark for playing Jackie Jr. looks wise or age wise, and getting a call back was a big deal. And getting to go out to Silver Cup Studios in Queens was a big deal. And it was after, being in between agents and managers, and somehow getting another agent. And that was one of the first things they got me, was an audition for The Sopranos. So I was feeling pretty good. And then I get a call back. And not only did I get a call back, but when I went in for the callback and walked through the lobby of all these, it was a lot of people milling about. I walked in, I read, I think I was asked to do it again, which, listening to this podcast, was rare. I got a redirect. I don't remember who was in the room. I did remember one guy's face so well that when he came into my bar months later, I hit him up and said, "Hey, I came in for Jackie Jr. I got real close. I'd love to come back in." He goes, "Oh, we'll have you back. We'll have you back." He was being nice, but the Sopranos people came into my bar. But that's the only guy I remember, and I wish I remembered better who he was. But it wasn't the main guy. It wasn't David Chase. And I don't know that David Chase saw me at that callback, but there were a lot of people in the room. But as I had left, I was putting on my messenger bag, getting ready to take the train back to Manhattan. They came running down, and a casting director said, Carl, come back in. They want to see you again." And so it was like a callback at the callback, like, don't let them leave the building. We see something there. And I got another crack at it. And I don't know that I did anything different. And it was the scene with the garbage roots. And I like to think it was that I was too tall, 6'2", and maybe I would tower over Tony, and that was just not a vibe that was going to work. I think it could have also been that I'm a little, I'd been in drama school, so I had lost the authentic Jersey vibe, and my voice and speech was, clear and what they call standard American English, which was actually a liability on The Sopranos. But anyway, I rode that train home really thinking my life was going to change. I literally remember the feeling of the steel on the handle as I rode the train back, standing the whole way with my messenger bag on and just feeling like, wow, this is it. And it didn't come to pass, but I did have a subsequent audition for something else in that casting office. And then it was harder to stay in touch back before the internet was the main communicator. So it was right on the bubble of being able to email people. You were still sending headshots out. They were still messengering sides. You still have to go to your agent's office to get sides. And so I wasn't able to put a lot of correspondence onto that casting office, the famous Walken Jaffe casting office. And I'd even gone in for a film, and I didn't have the script, so I just had the sides, and I read the sides, and I did the audition, and it was way off because I didn't know what the fuck was going on in the story. And the casting director was mad cool. She said, I'm gonna give you the script because I don't think you know what's going on, and I think it will help. So let's bring you back, and I'll send you home with the script. Make sure you bring it back, and we'll audition it that way. And so that's the second time that I technically got a call back in that office, and I had a manager at the time, and I was like, this has got to be good news. This has got to be that momentum, you know. This would be the office that would be right for me, and this is 2 projects that they've shown interest. And again, when I was in a lot of self-defeating behavior, I took those as failures, not ways to keep the iron hot. And then I had written a play and produced a play and was hoping that I even read for a Nicholas Totoro pilot while I was in Tech Week for my play. And it was a different casting director. And I said, I'm in the middle of producing a show I wrote, and I was just feeling very good. And my manager didn't make it I had a 3-week run, and my manager at the time didn't make it to one of the shows. And I took that as a cause to say, you know what, you're not really here for me, so let's part ways. And then soon after that was a plan to leave for LA, and then soon after that was 9/11, and then I moved to LA. And so the idea of being able to stay in touch with this casting director without a representative in New York, without I had email by then, but IMDb has really changed the game for connectivity and being able to strategically find a casting director's info. Or, there's still firewalls because mostly you go through their agent, and if they're big enough, they're only going to have the Casting Society of America general information because they don't want to be pelted with emails. But, a lot of this is just ruminating over a remembrance of things past that are no longer crippling to me. And yet I've still found a way to get opportunities and, work here and there. But the thing I look for is that momentum. And I guess what I'm saying in this one is I have a good friend, and he does tell me that, the good news is you can do it, that you can write. The good news is that you have a good story. The good news is that you finished a one-man play, and now you have to put it up, and that's all good news. And I'm starting to feel frightened, or I'm starting to feel like it's too much, why the fuck do I have to do this? If I'd only, that's where the brain starts to say, if I'd only been Jackie Jr. on The Sopranos, I'd have a career. Then I wouldn't need to do a one-man show. But if you're only doing things for attention, then, or a means to an end, you're really not in it for the right reasons. So I have to investigate that, and I've come full circle to know that, getting it done will be an amazing feeling, and I can't let myself down again. Somehow this sort of trip down memory lane, or this melancholy of the fall is helping me, because I guess I need to look at the downtime of the holidays as a gathering storm, a way to put together some reserves and some resolve and make some decisions and liberate myself and remember that I'm doing this because I want to do this, and not that anyone's putting it to me. And I'll still wake, and I'll still sleep, and there's not a lot that can happen against me, and the feeling of accomplishment will be a victory in itself. And so I haven't looked at it for a while, and I haven't made any tactile progress, but I guess having that conversation, hitting a bit of a low, and then coming here today to say, what are you going to do about it, is progress. And it means I got to remind myself that I got work to do, and I will do it. And that's the message this week. I don't know how long we ran. I know the light still works. I don't know if the shot's right. I could have my head cut off for all I know, but I do appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon. This next one might be from the East Coast, so the background will be different, but thanks for watching. If you're one of the few watching, this was Carl DeGregorio, and this is Desk Sessions 11. Peace.